Have you ever been so enraged by someone's words or actions that you lost control of yourself? Even a casual statement or glance might make you feel as though the world is against you in today's fast-paced, high-pressure society. It's simple to become enmeshed in a tornado of negative feelings, ranging from small irritations to intense rage. But is there a method to? Can we really survive if we don't let anyone disrupt your tranquility? A peaceful, trouble-free existence, free from the emotional sway of others. Consider Stoicism to be an age-old yet incredibly potent philosophy. Provides profound and timeless responses to philosophers such as Marcus. Despite the harsh times, Aurelius, Epictetus and Seneca remained in Atra. Peace via this philosophy's wisdom. Today, we'll look at 7 effective techniques to fully regulate and conquer your emotions. What I'm going to share with you isn't just theory. It's derived from the deepest Stoic teachings condensed into useful ideas. So pay attention and don't miss a single component, since even utilizing one of these techniques might instantly change your life. First, let's embrace our readiness to, in life. Embrace willingness. One of the fundamental tenets of Stoicism that results in inner peace in life is accepting anything that comes our way without reservation. Does not imply that we have to like or agree with it, every circumstance, but instead learn to accept them voluntarily without resistance. In his Meditations, Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Accept the things to which fate ties you to, and cherish the individuals fate brings you to, but give it your best." This acceptance serves as the cornerstone. To break free from the vicious cycle of rage and frustration, picture yourself performing a dishwashing, for example. If you approach it grudgingly, every touching a dish turns into an internal conflict. But if you approach it voluntarily, Epictetus reminds us in discourses that when we are grateful, all the burdens of life flow away. Instead of trying to make things happen the way you want them to, occur as they do, and your life will proceed well. This is the willingness spirit. This way of thinking can be used in practice by flowing with life rather than fighting it, even to disagreeable circumstances such as being stuck. If you spend all of your time in traffic ranting about delays, that's just your frustration expands. But if you take use of it to listen to your favorite podcast or think back on your day, when we voluntarily accept circumstances, tension releases. When stress stops controlling us, a crucial component of willingness is how we define our purpose in life. Rather than pursuing pointless objectives, we can strive for a more expansive vision. Consider your own vision and the type of life you wish to lead. Develop distinct personal goals that frequently result in short-term success. Similar to earning money or collecting material belongings, a vision encompasses your whole life. Every action is voluntary when you live with a grand vision, because you comprehend that everything, whether positive or negative, adds to your voyage. By accepting life's flow rather than fighting it, you obtain a consider volunteering when you feel inspired to do so in order to experience a deep sense of freedom and tranquility. For example, fulfilling a work deadline can feel burdensome and tiresome, yet when you assist a buddy out of kindness or volunteer for a cause, the work feels satisfying. Even if it's difficult or materially unsatisfying, the distinction is in your attitude. Voluntary acts are the result of a feeling of control over what I do. This becomes yours while I have to do this into your heaven. Hell, use this viewpoint in everyday situations. Whenever someone says something offensive, you may either let it to control your feelings or respond angrily. You consider it a chance to practice being willing. You can tell yourself this: I don't want to be bothered by someone acting in accordance with their nature. Accepting life as it comes doesn't mean giving up on trying to better yourself or your circumstances. Rather than acknowledging that certain things are beyond of your being in charge of this mindset, helps you focus and reduces stress. On what you can alter, such as viewing criticism at work as an opportunity to, instead of taking it personally, learn and develop. Your response action is not the embracing willingness, is a journey, and the event itself defines your peace of mind. Not a quick makeover. Start small and accept your faults. Difficulties as teaching opportunities and deal with everyday annoyances with you will be less likely to become angry and react negatively if you can perfect this mindset. Disruptions instead, you'll find a strong inner strength that allows you to, second, quit passing judgment and live your life as you see fit. Quit passing judgment on other people. Have you ever pondered why we become so easily irritated or angry with others? Others? Is it because we often criticize them? How many times do you think about it? Do you tell yourself every day that this individual is really annoying or another one is really? These unreliable assessments not only harm other people, but more significantly burden our own spirits by letting go of judgment and becoming stoic. Is an effective way to rid ourselves of unpleasant feelings like rage or annoyance. People often see the world through their own prisms. When someone does anything that goes against our expectations, we categorize them as a way. For example, if someone drives slowly, your initial reaction may be, "They're so dumb." But have you ever, considering that they may be a novice driver or that they may be driving cautiously due to the presence of youngsters in the vehicle, our emotions are determined by how we interpret external experiences, not by those events themselves. Judging others puts undue emotional strain on us. Judgment is more than simply an idea. Imagine you have a co-worker that frequently arrives late for work, and if you believe your annoyance will increase daily if you are careless or lazy. But if you take into account that they can be tending to a sick loved one, or your viewpoint softens when you deal with personal difficulties, but it doesn't mean you approve of their actions, but by letting go of the judgment, you protect yourself from needless harm. Emotional stoicism teaches us to view issues more clearly rather than to disregard them. Marcus Aurelius wisely stated that you always have the choice to have no belief, that there's never any reason to become upset or to worry about nobody is completely nice or terrible. There are things you can't control. Individuals are a combination of behaviors influenced by their environment and contemplating a moment when you didn't perform at your best. Perhaps you were exhausted, anxious, or just having a rough day. Similarly, other people's behaviors are rarely fixed characteristics in nurturing settings. Even the most imperfect people can be nice to others. But remember that anyone can stumble under pressure. Imagine yourself when a waitress in a restaurant unintentionally spills water on your table, your initial. They may react with fury because they are so irresponsible, but if you stop and consider, this is the power of letting go. And even if they're having a really bad day, you'll feel much lighter judgment, which not only relieves discomfort, but also promotes more. To be clear, having empathy for people around you does not imply that you should let go of judgment. Accepting wrongdoing entails not letting other people's behavior control you can still distinguish between right and incorrect feelings without letting negativity get in the way. To take up all of your thoughts, as Marcus Aurelius also stated, the being different from the person who caused the pain is the finest way to get retribution. The best way to deal with harm is not, how can we practice being angry while still remaining calm and dignified? Being conscious each time you catch yourself passing judgment is the first step towards non-judgment. Someone asks, "Does this idea help me?" and then tries to move. Put yourself in their position and consider what they might be going through I'm not sure. However, keep in mind that everyone is unique and these differences create. If someone is different from you, it doesn't mean they're incorrect or that their life is less rich. It's worth your emotional effort to let go of judgment. learning to set oneself free from emotional burdens. Free. The next time you're annoyed by someone, stop, take a big breath, and ask yourself, this sensation worthwhile? You'll discover that by approaching situations with compassion and realizing that you're ultimately kinder to yourself as well as to others. Do you want to live your life, or do you want to cling to your anger? Between liberty and tranquility, the option is always. Your third rule is to relinquish power after you cease passing judgment on other people. Give up control. Discover a significant truth. A large portion of our annoyance and rage originates from expecting other people to behave in a way that aligns with our ambitions. But the world doesn't work like way. Despite all their complexities, behave for causes that are frequently outside of our knowing. This raises a more important question. Do we really need to regulate everything in search of serenity, or does letting go lead to peace? The essence of Stoicism is to avoid wasting energy attempting to learn to embrace the uncontrolled and release yourself from needless burdens. But even though you can't control life, you can always decide how to react to. Imagine what life is like while you're driving at rush hour. Car horns are honking from every direction, traffic is heavy, and you're about to being late makes you angry because you wonder why people drive this way and why they can't traffic ever get better. But the truth is that you can't alter other people's driving habits or make the roads clear. Your attitude and response are the only things you can control. You have the option to remain angry or to take a deep breath and acknowledge that some things are just beyond your control. This may seem easy, but letting go of your life can be changed by a craving for control. A mother may worry about her all the time, child's grades, but she is unable to sit their exams or instance. A worker may be annoyed by a supervisor's irrational choices, but they have no control over their boss's ideas or behavior. Therefore, unpleasant feelings frequently surface. From having unrealistic expectations when reality doesn't live up to them, disappointment strikes. I once knew a driven young businessman who invested years establishing a technology business with the goal of transforming an industry. However, when the product was introduced, market comments were, he was disappointed and irate, accusing customers of sabotaging it since they didn't see its value. During a conversation with competitors, these feelings imprisoned him in resentment and powerlessness. Advised concentrating on his areas for improvement rather than obsessing about unforeseen circumstances, this change created a new viewpoint. He ceased placing blame on others, improved his product, and modified his approach and accepted the requirements for patient success by letting go of what was beyond his control. He felt lighter, more imaginative, and ultimately attained more success than anticipated. Stoicism not only changes our perspective on difficulties, but also exhorts us to ask ourselves in times of stress, am I in control of this? Is my response to squandering energy on the unchangeable making things better or worse? Asking straightforward questions can help you overcome negativity. Giving up control does not imply giving up or being passive. It necessitates concentrating on the things that you can actually change in your mind. Though you can't halt the current when rowing a boat down a river, emotions and actions, you can easily navigate the flow of your boat by steering it. A useful Stoic exercise is premeditatio malorum. Before you begin your day, prepare for hardship. Take a moment to consider the possibility that arrangements could be cancelled by co-workers. Making mistakes or experiencing inclement weather is made simpler by being prepared for these situations. In the end, accepting when they occur and letting go is not a sign of weakness, but a strong sense of freedom when you let go of things that are beyond of your control. Tremendous sense of peace. Begin small and refrain from attempting to influence others. Life flows like a river when you don't focus on the past or cling to the past. You'll find the tranquility you've been looking for if you can learn to move with the flow. Along with number 4, show devotion in the embrace the world's imperfections. We all experience annoyance and even fury from time to time in this world. Have you ever wondered why people don't act the way we expect them to? Why do we expect the world and everyone around us to be perfect and stoic? Demonstrates that the desire for perfection is a myth, and that myth is the cause of a lot of sorrow. Realizing that the universe is inherently faulty is the first step to releasing yourself from the unpleasant feelings that other people have led you to experience. Have you ever been let down by a coworker who failed to finish their assignment correctly, impacting your job, or making you angry when a friend or family member breached a promise? A member said something harsh. These kinds of things happen frequently, but Epictetus reminds us that it is unrealistic to expect everyone to be flawless. Things that upset people are their opinions about things, and their rage and irritation don't come from other people's behavior, but from our interpretation of their chaotic, flawed. The environment doesn't have to alter to suit you. What must alter is how you consider it with a concrete example. Let's say you carefully prepared for a crucial presentation. However, at the last minute, a co-worker in charge of your effort appears to have been ruined by errors or omissions in the supporting documents. It's normal to be frustrated, so you could wonder why they were so irresponsible when I tried. So difficult, but if you look at it stoically, you'll understand that their error is beyond. Rather than placing the blame on them, your control anger simply makes things worse. Would inquire, what can I do right now to save this by accepting your imperfections? Stoicism stresses concentration in order to not only stay composed, but also find solutions more successfully. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "On what you can control, begin each. Tell yourself that I will encounter interference, ingratitude, insolence and betrayal today. Will and selfishness, all of which result from the criminal's lack of awareness of what is right or evil. Beginning your day with the belief that flaws are unavoidable prepares resilience in the face of adversity is not pessimism. Rather, it's realism that enables you to face challenges head-on. In accepting imperfections in daily life can change your, rather than becoming angry when someone betrays a promise, remember yourself that are human and they may be going through invisible hardships. If you feel misunderstood, stay. Instead of making snap judgments, remain composed and look for clarification. Perhaps they didn't intend to harm you, but just didn't comprehend your point of view, and when confronted with rudeness regarding criticism, consider whether this is my interpretation or if it actually hurts me. Hurting me, but embracing flaws doesn't imply giving up on bettering the world or yourself. On the contrary, when you stop expecting other people to behave in a certain way, it frees you. You may concentrate on what's really important after releasing yourself from disappointment. For instance, we frequently expect our spouse to understand us in partnerships. Well, but the reality is that even your closest loved ones can't always read your feelings or needs. Rather than placing blame, ask if to promote mutual comprehension, explain more clearly. This method is not only reduces discontent, but also fosters empathy. You will discover happiness in the world when you genuinely embrace its flaws. Defects in a negligent colleague, a thoughtless friend, or even a nasty stranger becomes a chance to exercise patience and compassion. Consider whether you want to be forgiven for any past transgressions. Why can't I forgive others? This viewpoint serves as a reminder that everyone, as Seneca noted, he who is brave is free. Everyone, including you, is trying their hardest. Being brave enough to confront flaws is not only a show of compassion, but also a route to inner freedom. When you stop expecting, you can find happiness even if your life isn't ideal. You free yourself from the weight of others or the world's expectations of perfection. Marcus Aurelius asserted that your level of satisfaction in life is determined by the quality of your thoughts, allowing them to lead you to find serenity in the chaos. This isn't about accepting flaws, rather, it's the art of the fifth rule is to take accountability for your accept responsibility for your emotions. Emotions that arise when we come to terms with the world's flaws. Provides access to our inner selves, even though the environment may be chaotic and others may fall short of our standards and things don't always go as planned, but we have to. These facts make it difficult for us to accept the flaws in the outside world, but learning to regulate our emotions when confronted with things we cannot control is the more difficult task. Change, which begs the important question of who has responsibility for your stoicism, forces us to ignore our feelings or the uncontrollable events. Face this reality by imagining yourself in a long line at a supermarket on a busy, over the course of an impatient weekend. Someone interrupts in front of you without even a quick look back or an apology. When you become irritated and feel insulted, you could react by expressing your annoyance, complaining silently, or harboring that grudge for the remainder of the day. But you might also take a moment to ask yourself, this person's behavior is worth my peace of mind, even though they might be mistaken. However, since my feelings are mine, I shouldn't allow them to control how I sense that an amazing thing occurs when you choose to be calm. The irritation fades. The individual may continue to be unaware of their rudeness, but their behavior does not no longer have authority over you unless you give them access to the cue. A little longer, yet that seemingly insignificant experience doesn't affect your inner serenity. Turns into a trivial incident in your day instead of the catalyst for a negative emotion cascade. When you take back emotional control, your life becomes considerably lighter. Unknowingly, we frequently give others influence over our emotions in our day-to-day interactions. The natural reaction when someone insults, criticizes, or ignores you is to feel offended, irate, or depressed. But ask yourself why you allowed your attitude is determined by the words or deeds of another person. Marcus Aurelius, the great philosopher and Roman emperor, noted that you have control over your thoughts. Realize this, and you'll find strength in his words, which remind us of a fundamental truth. Although we have no influence over other people, we always have a choice in how we respond. To them, think about a moment when you received unjust criticism at work, feeling angry and, although frustration would have seemed unavoidable, what if you told yourself that by changing the way you respond, you can show that other people's opinions don't define your value? Would release you from their emotional control, but how can we do that? Begin by learning how to use the power of pause when confronted with a distressing situation. Circumstance. Consider whether I'm exaggerating or if it's worth letting go for a little while. Between the trigger and your answer, pause to create space that gives you the chance to choose peace over chaos. Another useful strategy is recording your feelings in a journal, a habit based on every night. Take a few minutes to think about what disturbed you today and how you handled it. You might have reacted differently over time if you had developed this habit. You see emotional trends and develop the self-control to deal with them. The secret to living a more peaceful life is accepting responsibility for your feelings. If you don't allow it, someone can make you furious or disturbed. Marcus Aurelius also wrote, "If you are upset about something outside of yourself, and it isn't the cause of your sorrow, however, you have the authority to revoke at any time based on your assessment of it." His remarks serve as a reminder that feelings are something we own, not someone else's. If you let others keep you calm, you'll discover that nothing can really disrupt your, "Hey, do you agree with this viewpoint?" If so, please like and leave a comment below with your ideas. I'd love to hear your tales and thoughts. And if you have a different perspective, express it. It could lead to an insightful and enlightening conversation for everyone. Let's keep going on this adventure. In addition to the next. Lesson number 6. Exercise, don't react. Lack of response in life. Unexpected events can take us by surprise. As a co-worker openly berates you in a meeting, a stranger interrupts you, and you've been waiting calmly. Or maybe someone makes a scathing comment to you. Even though they may seem insignificant, these little things can upset your mood and leave you feeling irritated, provoking rage and irritation. But is there a means of getting over these unpleasant feelings and keep your cool in the face of other people's behavior? The solution is to learn. The Epictetus once remarked that the art of non-reaction is not what occurs to you, but rather how you respond to it. When you consider this fact, you realize that your feelings are not a result of other people, behaviors, but based on your interpretation. Picture yourself being publicly chastised in a meeting. Your first response could be annoyance or shame at being called out in public. You might feel obliged to defend yourself or retaliate to regain your honor, but take a minute to think before you act. Ask yourself right away, why should I let these comments to define how I believe that your value or skills are not defined by your colleagues' hurried behavior? By refusing to respond, it only expresses their current mental condition. Consider another option to keep your composure and act professionally around other people. Approach and react calmly, maybe by grinning and expressing gratitude for your, after I've presented my views, I'll address any input that one peaceful moment provides. Instead of being greeted with animosity, your authority over the circumstance disarms the co-worker. By maintain poise, and you leave the meeting with confidence instead of giving in to negativity. Self-assurance and tranquility. Seneca prudently suggested the best treatment for one of the finest strategies to control anger is to delay it. When someone insults you, non-reaction means pausing and resisting the want to react. Instead, take a deep breath and consider the situation, such as a co-worker. Delays your response by an hour or even a day after sending a crucial email enables you to address the issue clearly and intelligently rather than. Sometimes the most effective emotional reaction is to remain silent rather than take revenge. Not only preserves your tranquility, but also stops others from dominating your. As the expression goes, if you kick back after being kicked by a donkey, you are both. This parable about donkeys serves as a reminder that responding negatively to negativity, silence doesn't indicate weakness. Rather, it only brings us down to the same level, represents inner strength, the capacity to overcome the demand for quick. Imagine a furious dispute where each word feeds the flames of rage. The flames will undoubtedly go out if one side abruptly quits fighting. Down, the person who decides to remain silent becomes the real victor, having conquered their feelings and maintained their mental tranquility for a brief period of time. When was the last time you became enraged over something insignificant? If you could travel back in time, would it be worth sacrificing your tranquility? Would you answer these questions differently? Marcus Aurelius, on self-improvement and introspection, sincerely observed that the pain is not caused by anything outside of you, to the object itself, but to your assessment of it, and you possess the authority to recognize that you have complete control over your reactions, help you go through life more easily. But non-reactions don't mean accepting things passively, entails determining what really merits your. By practicing non-reaction, you can focus your attention and energy. Not only control your feelings, but also preserve your inner tranquility. Every day, remind yourself that although you have no influence over what other people do, you do have control over your. Your strongest weapons are responsiveness, composure, silence, and an unwavering heart. This is the core of this crazy planet. The seventh Stoic principle finds happiness in take pleasure in giving of yourself. When we learn to maintain composure and refrain from responding rashly to life's circumstances, our souls progressively transform into lighter. The things that used to irritate or upset us become only rippling effects in the course of life, and if our emotions are free of bitterness or frustration, a new area appears where people can love, sympathize, and as a result of this change, we experience a deep joy, the joy of comprehension. That sometimes maintaining our peace is best achieved by forgiveness is a journey where the heart finds peace and the mind finds peace. Marcus Aurelius famously said, "Opens wider than ever when you wake up in the morning, consider how fortunate you are to be alive." These words, "enjoy to love," are a kind reminder of life's benefits. Every morning gives us a fresh opportunity to love, support, and through the perspective of forgiveness, live with a heart that is more open than it was the day before. Of Marcus Aurelius is not far or challenging. Rather, it's merely a means of acknowledging that assisting others makes them happy. But additionally, I remember a story of a friend who worked under a lot of strain. Atmosphere. He was regularly and occasionally unjustly condemned by co-workers. But rather than responding angrily, he listened and asked himself, "Are they experiencing something I'm not aware of?" One day he found out that a highly important co-worker was having serious financial difficulties. Challenges. This realization completely altered his viewpoint. Instead of in retaliation, he listened, stayed silent, and even offered assistance where it was feasible. As a result, their relationship and the environment at work both improved, grew less tense as well. In families, small arguments can quickly turn into major ones. Imagine getting into heated disagreements with a relative who never stops criticizing you. Even if their remarks may cause you great pain, keep in mind that their criticism frequently comes from when you realize that this fury is coming from their own anguish or anxieties rather than from you. Its ability to forgive does not imply condoning improper behavior. Refusing to allow it to govern your feelings. Anger frequently results from, "We have standards for how other people should act, but the reality is flawed, and everyone bears invisible responsibilities that can be lifted." Expectations. And when those expectations are not met, rage is pointless. Forgiveness is wonderful, since it not only helps us get over our anger, but also offers true happiness and relief. Think back to a moment when you gave to someone without expecting anything in return. How did it feel? It was probably calm and profound. Meaningful Epictetus once remarked that a man cannot be free unless he is in control of himself. Forgiveness is not just about giving. It's also about not taking back control of our emotions, a spiritual freedom that cannot be purchased with money. People who frequently follow this wisdom are supported by modern studies. Since Stoicism has been around for millennia, actions of selflessness and kindness have been linked to higher levels of happiness. Forgiveness is more than just a moral virtue, as ancient teachings clearly knew, but also a route to a more fulfilled and significant existence. Pause to inquire, can I perceive this issue from their point of view and determine what might be causing it? Their conduct, asking these questions on a frequent basis, might reduce pain and promote. Knowing when was the last time you unexpectedly assisted someone? Anything in return, how did it affect you? And how can you think back on these moments? Encourage you to forgive on a regular basis. Forgiveness doesn't have to be. Sometimes it's as easy as showing patience with someone's carelessness rather than attempting to exert control over things that are out of your control on improving yourself. Be thankful for the generosity you provide to others. chance to do so instead of holding on to resentment, Seneca is exquisite. Claimed that every human being presents a chance for kindness can be extended wherever life takes you. In order to show compassion, choose forgiveness for yourself as well as for others. With comprehension, you create a better world for yourself and everyone else. The secret to living freely and PE is forgiveness, which is more than just an action. Calmly, we've just looked at 7 ways to keep inner peace and final results. Stay unmoved by the ire or irritation that other people produce. These ideas aren't merely thoughts on philosophy, they serve as compass points that point us in the direction of genuine inner acceptance and freedom, teach you to let go and align with life. Eliminating judgment, you release yourself from the weight of prejudice, giving up authority and accepting imperfection, accepting accountability for your feelings, and working on non-reactivity. Each of these actions brings you one step closer to true self-mastery, and how the greatest present you can give is to find delight in compassion if you found this movie useful, not only to other people, but also to yourself. Please take a moment to do so if you haven't already. It really helps us share these uplifting principles. Don't be afraid to show your loved ones this film, as even make sure to subscribe to the newsletter, because even a short note might make someone's day. Channel so you don't miss out on the next inspirational stuff. Thank you. Thank you for attending, and I'll see you in the upcoming video.